Hey guys, hope you're having a awesome week. So in this video, we're going to be looking at how we can use sends for our effects and using it to not just clean up the mix, but also give our sound a unique characteristic. But primarily the mix. Actually, a lot of new producers, they'll stick a reverb or delay straight on top of the synth, and it becomes really muddy. Because there's either a lot of low end or the tail's too long, or for whatever reason, it just really makes the mix unclear, over the top, way too crowded. So we're going to be looking into that today and using sends to avoid that kind of muddiness. So first of all, why use sends? If you don't know what a send is, I'd recommend doing a bit of research, but basically a send is when we take an audio signal such as this one, send it through another track and then out to the master, while sending the main track to the master also. And we looked at this a little bit in our parallel compression video, which I posted last week. But basically, why use sends for effects? So most reverbs and delays do have certain parameters that can be used to clean up a mix. To a certain point, you've got low cut, high cut, pre-delay, all those kind of settings, and these are great. But the way I see it is that they're sort of a quick fix, and you're a bit limited to the control you have over them. If you've got a delay that has too long of a feedback and it starts clashing with the next note, you could lower the feedback, and that'll be fine, but it might give you an undesirable effect, as in it doesn't sound as full. Or you can stick the delay on a send channel and sidechain it. So a few reasons why you might want to use sends is sidechain compression, Benny Benassi style. You hear the bass with the reverb pumping out after it. Greater control over the sonics, EQ, filtering, that kind of thing. And of course, they can be used more than once. So if you've got a send channel with reverb on it, you can send more than one channel to that and affect it. Of course, there are many more reasons, but these are the most common. So the first thing we're going to do is add our send channels. But I'm just going to play the source material we've got here. So we've got this pluck sound. And it's sounding okay, but it's a little bit dry and, lacks movement, lacks effects. So we're going to be adding reverb and delay to that. But first, we're going to add two audio channels. So insert audio track or Control T. And we're going to rename one reverb and the other delay. So you might be asking, why did I set up two channels? Why didn't I just use reverb and delay on the same one? You can do that, but I prefer to send the sound through a reverb and delay for two reasons. The first one, that if you put a reverb after a delay, it can kill the transient of the original sound or the delay, and it will lose a lot of character. If you put reverb before the delay will act on the reverb, causing a longer tail, and it normally muddies it up as well. So that's why I'm using two channels here to send through. So what I'm going to do is choose audio from pluck and then monitor in on there. So now if I play it, you'll hear it coming through all three channels. Doesn't sound too great. We're going to fix that. So now I'm going to add the reverb and delay on there according our respective channels. Just basic reverb, Ableton, make it simple, and we'll use a ping pong delay here. You can feel free to use another delay. So if we leave this at default, we have this sound here, which isn't really that exciting at all. It's still way too loud. So we're going to make a few changes. First of all, to the reverb, so we'll mute this one. I'm going to turn the decay up quite a lot, 7.8 seconds. Next thing I'm going to do is move this high cut up, because we're going to be EQing the sound after, so this thing here doesn't really matter too much. I'm going to turn the size up to about around 200. And finally, I'm going to turn the dry wet knob up to 100%. And the reason I'm putting that at 100% is because we've got this original sound here sending to the master, and we don't want it coming through in these channels. So we just want the wet channel coming in here. Completely wet, nothing else. So it's sounding a little bit, I wouldn't say better, but it will sound great once we compress that and add some EQ. Finally, with the delay, I'm just going to be turning the feedback down a little bit and the dry wet up to full. You can also move this to full as well, because we'll be EQing that. So if we unmute this, that's the sound we've got, and it really, if you put that into a mix, it would completely screw it up, because it's got so many frequencies all over the place. And you can see this if I add a spectrum analyzer. So we haven't got too much low end, but it's just way too, it just crowds it up too much, especially the original pluck. Yeah, alrighty. So first thing we're going to do is add some sidechain compression. And this is pretty simple to do on a send channel. Obviously add a compressor, and I normally place it after the effect, because I prefer it that way. So just something to note about this when we add sidechain. The ratio sort of tells the compressor how much to dip the signal by. The threshold is the volume level for which you want the compressor to start acting. Attack is when you'd like the compressor to start acting. So if you put it all the way to 1 second, it probably won't act at all. And release is how long you'd like the compression to act for. So if we put this all the way up, we probably wouldn't hear any reverb whatsoever. So we'll just set up sidechain here. Click the sidechain button, input from pluck, and take this back up the top, and we're just going to mute the delay for now. So I'm going to turn this threshold down quite a lot, probably to about 30, around 30, because I don't want the pumping effect. I'm just doing this for mixing benefits. If you were looking to get that sort of reverb pump pre-delay kind of sound, you would put it a bit lower. Next, I'm going to turn the ratio up to about 3:1. I'm still getting a bit of a pump sound, so I'm going to turn the threshold down a bit. And next, I'm going to turn the attack all the way down, as far as it can go, so the compressor acts instantly. And I'll turn the release up to around 160. So you can see now we've got a little bit of pre-delay on that. It sort of slopes up after the pluck hits, which is real cool. So it's sounding a little bit better already, and we haven't got reverb line over the top of our pluck, which is great, because that can cause a lot of mix issues, phasing issues, comb filtering, that kind of thing. So that's sounding pretty good. We're going to copy this compressor and stick it on the delay channel. Now, normally I would do this separately and, customize it for the delay, but we don't want to be here for hours, so I'm just going to leave it default, and we can hear how that sounds. So it's a little bit better, but still, it's still muddy. We wouldn't want to stick that in a song. So what we're going to do is EQ both our reverb and delay. And I recommend doing this by ear, but honestly you can use what I've done as a starting point. Okay, so that's sounding good for the reverb. Now we're going to do the delay. I'm going to do it a little bit different. See how it goes. So that's sounding quite nice, and that's basically it. So we've compressed and EQ'd our signals and our send channels. So the best thing about this is that we can clean up our effects separately from our chords. So if we had too much low end in our reverb and we stuck it on here, we could low cut it, and the only other option is EQing out this, and that also doesn't always work. So it's a much it gives you a lot more control over your effects. Honestly, I think you should, if you're not doing this already, get onto it, because it'll clean up your mix like nothing else. In the next video, we will be looking at how to clean up reverb and delay tails, and there's a little trick that I use for that, and I'll see you then.